चौंतीस
234
235 36
235 36 खुदा के वतन है जिन्ना के वतन।
ये जो के फजल है, इसको पहले धोते, पानी की तरह धोते, अच्छी तरह धोने के बाद इसको इस तरह पकाते हैं, फिर ले जाके पिसाते हैं।
Have you ever wondered if there are places in the world where people still live as their ancestors did hundreds of years ago? Where does the rhythm of life follow the mountains, the seasons, and centuries of tradition? In the remote heights of Gilgit-Baltistan, such a place exists, the last village of Pakistan. Step inside and the world feels different. Houses made of mud and stone huddled together like old friends, each wall etched with the fingerprints of generations. The smoke from wood-fired stoves curls through narrow windows, carrying the scent of barley bread baking and yak milk boiling. Here, people still live as their ancestors did. Women knead dough and weave woolen blankets by hand. Men tend fields with simple tools, grazing animals along steep slopes. Children run barefoot over uneven ground, learning the terrain and the traditions with every step. There is no electricity, no smartphones, no modern rush, just the patient, deliberate rhythm of survival.
यहाँ पे सुना है कोई सिग्नल नहीं आते, सिग्नल नहीं आते।
सिग्नल का यहाँ पर।
अच्छा, तो आप ये टीवी वगैरह देखते हैं?
जी, सिर्फ टीवी वगैरह देखते हैं, सिग्नल।
Every face tells a story of endurance. Every hand speaks of work and wisdom passed down through centuries. The harsh mountains have shaped them into a people resilient and resourceful, proud of their heritage and rooted in ways the modern world has almost forgotten. And yet, despite the isolation, there is warmth, laughter, and a sense of community that feels rare in today's fast-moving world. So ask yourself, how does a place like Khorkondo survive the modern age? How do its people carry forward a life that seems like a window into history itself? This is not a story about ruins or memories. This is Khorkondo, where ancient life is still lived and the past is very much alive. Far beyond the roads that connect towns and cities, hidden in the folds of the Saltoro and Kondus ranges, lies Khorkondo, the last village of Pakistan. A place where modern life feels like a distant echo. The village is defined by its mud-built houses, structures born from necessity and shaped by centuries of experience. Thick earthen walls, reinforced with stone, keep the harsh winter cold at bay. Roofs made of timber and clay provide shelter from snow-laden winds, while narrow alleys wind through the settlement like veins carrying life itself. These homes are simple, yet their design tells the story of survival, ingenuity, and respect for nature. Life here is far from easy, but it is rich in tradition. People rise with the sun, moving through their days in quiet diligence. Fields are tended by hand, livestock is cared for with patience, and every household is a self-sufficient ecosystem. There is no reliance on modern technology, no dependency on electricity or vehicles. Instead, life is guided by the land, the seasons, and ancient knowledge. What makes Khorkondo extraordinary is not just the resilience of its people, but the continuity of a lifestyle that seems impossible in the 21st century. Children learn by watching their elders. Visiting Khorkondo is like stepping into a living museum. But this is no display. Here, the past is lived daily, and the present is molded by centuries of experience. For those who dare to look beyond maps and modern conveniences, Khorkondo offers a rare glimpse of a world where survival, tradition, and community are inseparable. The story of Khorkondo is closely tied to the wider history of the Kunduz Valley, a region that has long remained on the margins of recorded history. Unlike major cities shaped by empires, this area developed quietly, shaped by small communities that settled here generations ago. These early inhabitants were primarily from Balti origins, bringing with them traditions, language, and ways of life that continue to define the region today. Historically, Kunduz Valley was part of the Greater Baltistan region, which maintained cultural and trade connections with neighboring areas like Ladakh and Central Asia. Though Khorkondo itself was never a major trade hub, nearby routes were occasionally used by travelers and traders navigating difficult mountain paths. These interactions introduced influences from different cultures, yet the valley largely preserved its distinct identity due to its isolation.
In earlier centuries, local governance was often informal, based on tribal systems and community leadership, rather than centralized authority. People relied on shared customs and mutual cooperation to manage resources and resolve conflicts. Over time, as regional dynamics shifted, the area gradually became integrated into the administrative framework of Pakistan after 1947. The late 20th century brought subtle changes, including limited infrastructure development and increased awareness of the region. However, Khorkondo remained largely untouched by rapid modernization, preserving its traditional lifestyle. Today, its history is not written in monuments or grand structures, but in the continuity of its people, their language, customs, and enduring connection to the land. It stands as a living reminder of a past that has quietly survived in one of the most remote corners of the world. The landscape surrounding Khorkondo is defined by extreme altitude and dramatic terrain. Located within the upper stretches of the Kunduz Valley, the area is part of the Greater Karakoram Range, one of the most rugged mountain systems on Earth. The terrain here is dominated by steep, rocky slopes, massive glaciers, and narrow valleys carved by ancient ice flows. Unlike fertile plains, arable land is scarce and scattered, often limited to small patches near water sources. The presence of glaciers not only shapes the landscape, but also acts as a primary source of water for the region. Rivers and streams flow through the valley, fed by melting snow and ice, creating lifelines for both people and limited vegetation. However, these water sources can be unpredictable, especially during seasonal changes when glacial melt increases. The region's elevation and terrain create natural barriers, making movement difficult and restricting access. Landslides, avalanches, and shifting ice formations are constant geographical challenges. Life in Khorkondo is a constant balance between limited resources and careful planning. Survival here depends heavily on preparation, especially for the long months when access to external supplies becomes impossible. Every household stores food, fuel, and essential items well in advance, ensuring they can endure extended periods without outside support. Agriculture, though limited, plays a crucial role. Small patches of land are used to grow basic crops during the short summer season. Livestock such as goats and yaks provide milk, meat, and wool, becoming essential for both nutrition and daily living. Nothing is wasted. Every resource is used with precision. Water is sourced from glacial streams, and managing it efficiently is vital. People have developed simple systems to channel and store water for daily use. Homes are built to withstand the environment, using stone and mud to retain heat and provide insulation.
But beyond physical needs, survival here is deeply connected to community. Families rely on each other, sharing labor and resources. Cooperation is not optional, it is necessary. Winter in Khorkondo village transforms the entire region into a frozen landscape where survival becomes even more challenging. Temperatures drop drastically, often falling far below freezing, while icy winds sweep through the narrow valley with relentless force. Snow covers the land completely, burying paths, fields, and surrounding terrain under thick layers. Movement becomes slow and risky as hidden ice and unstable ground increase the danger of slipping or injury. The cold penetrates everything: homes, clothing, and even stored supplies. Daily life shifts indoors. Families depend on firewood and traditional heating methods to stay warm. Thick clothing made from wool is essential to protect against the freezing air. Even basic tasks like collecting water or feeding livestock require extra effort and careful timing. The environment during winter is not just cold, it is unforgiving. A sudden storm or temperature drop can make conditions even harsher, testing both physical and mental strength. In this season, nature takes full control, and survival depends on preparation, patience, and the ability to endure prolonged hardship. For nearly 6 months each year, Khorkondo becomes completely isolated. Heavy snowfall blocks the narrow routes connecting it to the rest of Gilgit-Baltistan, making travel nearly impossible. There are no alternative roads, no quick access points, only silence and separation. During this time, the village depends entirely on what it has already stored. Communication becomes limited, and outside assistance is almost non-existent. This isolation is not a temporary inconvenience, it is a defining reality of life here. In Khorkondo, winter doesn't just bring cold, it disconnects an entire world.
Life in Khorkondo remains challenging throughout the year. Even during summer, limited resources and difficult terrain make daily tasks physically demanding. But winter intensifies these hardships significantly. Freezing temperatures, heavy snowfall, and reduced mobility create extreme conditions, where even basic activities become difficult.
Look at how much snow there is. In extreme winter, it becomes very difficult for us to even step outside the house.
People must carefully manage food, fuel, and energy to endure the long season. Survival here is never easy. It is a continuous struggle, where every season brings its own set of challenges, and winter pushes human endurance to its limits. In a world that has moved far ahead, Khorkondo still feels like it belongs to another time. Life here follows the same patterns that people once followed centuries ago: slow, grounded, and deeply connected to the land. There are no rushed routines or modern distractions. Days begin with simple tasks: working in the fields, caring for animals, collecting water, and preparing food the same way it has always been done. Every skill is learned by watching elders, not through books or systems, but through experience. The houses, the food, the daily habits, everything carries the mark of an older way of life. Nothing feels artificial or forced. It is raw, real, and unchanged. And that is what makes Khorkondo different. While the rest of the world keeps moving forward, this village quietly holds on to its past, not as a memory, but as a way of living. In Khorkondo, access to basic facilities remains extremely limited. There are no advanced healthcare centers, limited educational resources, and minimal infrastructure compared to urban areas. Electricity and communication services are often unreliable or unavailable, making daily life more difficult. For medical emergencies or higher education, people must travel long and dangerous routes to reach other regions.
This lack of facilities highlights the gap between remote and developed areas. Yet, despite these limitations, the people continue to adapt and survive, relying on resilience rather than modern convenience. The people of Khorkondo Valley are mostly Balti, who speak the Balti language, a Tibetan dialect. They celebrate various festivals and rituals throughout the year. The most prominent festival is the Nowroz, which marks the beginning of the new year and the spring season. The people also have a rich tradition of music, poetry, and art, which reflect their unique identity and heritage. Khorkondo Valley is considered one of the most backward parts of Ganche district. In the past, people were unable to get their education properly because of the lack of facilities and harsh environment of the valley.
My name is Mohammed Iqbal. I studied up to 8th grade in school because there were no classes available beyond that. Now, I work as a tractor driver.
Due to this, students of this valley used to go to nearby cities for higher education. But now, in recent years, more government and private schools were built in the area. In the farthest edges of Gilgit-Baltistan, Khorkondo stands as more than just a remote village. It stands as a question. A question about how much of the modern world is truly necessary and how much of it we have simply grown used to. In a time where speed defines success and convenience defines comfort, Khorkondo exists in contrast. It does not chase progress in the way cities do. Yet it continues to exist with a quiet strength that cannot be ignored. There is no rush here to change, no pressure to become something else. Life moves at its own pace, guided by realities that cannot be controlled. What makes this place remarkable is not just its location, but its perspective. It shows that life can continue even without the things we consider essential. That identity can remain strong even without constant change, and that sometimes the most powerful form of existence is simply enduring without losing yourself. Khorkondo reminds us that the world is far more diverse than we imagine. Beyond the noise and movement of modern life, there are places that still hold a different rhythm, one that challenges our understanding of comfort, progress, and survival. And perhaps, in trying to understand Khorkondo, we begin to question our own way of living.
Peaks of Khorkondo. The village slowly disappears into silence. No city lights, no distant noise. Just darkness settling gently over the mountains. There is something unusual about this quiet. It doesn't feel empty. It feels complete. Somewhere, a small flame flickers inside a home. Somewhere, a family prepares for another long night. Life continues, just as it always has. Steady, patient, and unspoken. Khorkondo does not try to be seen. It does not ask to be understood. It simply exists, far away from everything, yet deeply connected to something most of us have forgotten. And long after you leave this place behind, a part of it stays with you, in the silence you can't quite explain. If this journey into Khorkondo amazed you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, would you ever live in a place like this? And where should we explore next? Stay with us for more hidden stories from the world's most extreme places.